The snow came down hard that Christmas night, thick and silent, the kind that swallowed sound and made the city feel like it was holding its breath. Mark Holloway felt it soak through the thin soles of his shoes as he stepped off the late bus, his shoulders hunched, his breath visible in short bursts. He was thinking about the empty fridge at home, about the small apartment in Columbus, Ohio, where his 6-year-old son had fallen asleep clutching a plastic toy truck instead of a present. Then he noticed her, stumbling near the curb, coat half-buttoned, mascara smudged, a woman who looked wildly out of place against the quiet street. She was wealthy, powerful, and completely alone, and by the end of the night she would change Mark's life in ways neither of them could have imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when strangers show up for each other, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Mark was a single father who worked double shifts at a distribution warehouse. A man whose life had narrowed down to survival and responsibility after his wife Hannah died in a highway accident 3 years earlier. Christmas used to mean warmth, music, and laughter. Now it meant overtime pay and trying to keep his son Noah from noticing what they didn't have. That night, Mark had stayed late, sweeping floors for extra cash, when he saw the woman nearly fall into the street. Something in him moved before thought did. He reached out, steadying her, noticing the sharp scent of alcohol and expensive perfume, the tremor in her hands. She was slurring her words, clearly not safe to be alone. And the building behind her, a glass tower lit up like a monument, felt cold and indifferent. Her name, he later learned, was Claire Whitman, the CEO of a tech company whose valuation had recently crossed $1 billion. That night, though, she was just a woman who had drunk too much at a board dinner meant to celebrate success she didn't feel. Mark didn't know any of that when he offered to walk her home. He only knew that it was Christmas, that she could barely stand, and that leaving her there would haunt him. The walk was slow, awkward, and quiet, snow crunching under their feet, the city glowing in soft whites and golds. Claire leaned on his arm, her bravado long gone, replaced by exhaustion that went deeper than alcohol. Mark listened as she rambled without really saying anything, fragments about pressure, expectations, and the strange loneliness at the top. He didn't interrupt. He was good at listening. Grief had taught him that sometimes presence mattered more than solutions. When they reached her townhouse in a quiet neighborhood lined with wreaths and lights, Claire fumbled with her keys, frustration bubbling into tears. The house was beautiful, warm, and empty, the kind of place that echoed when you closed the door. She asked him to stay, not with words, but with a look that carried fear and relief all at once. Mark hesitated, thinking of Noah asleep at home, of the lines he never crossed. But the storm outside was worsening, and something told him this woman wasn't asking for anything improper. She was asking not to be alone. Inside, the heat thawed the cold from his bones. Claire collapsed onto the couch, the weight of the night finally settling. Mark made tea in the kitchen stocked with things he couldn't pronounce, feeling out of place in his worn jacket and tired hands. He sat across from her, keeping distance, grounding the room with quiet normalcy. As the alcohol wore off, Claire's composure cracked. She spoke about her rise from a small-town girl to a corporate leader, about the sacrifices, the failed relationships, the way success had demanded everything and given so little back. Mark shared his own story carefully about Hannah, about learning to braid hair and pack lunches, about the way love and loss reshaped a man. Hours passed. The snowstorm trapped the world in silence. Claire fell asleep, tears dried on her cheeks, safe at last. Mark stayed awake, watching the fire flicker, thinking about how strange life was, how two people from opposite ends of the world could meet on a sidewalk and share something real. In the early morning, he called his neighbor, Ruth, an elderly woman who often watched Noah, explaining the situation with embarrassment and honesty. Ruth, ever kind, reassured him his son was fine and told him to be careful on the icy roads. When Claire woke, sober and ashamed, she expected judgment. Instead, she found Mark making oatmeal, humming softly, a man who had nothing to gain and everything to lose by being there. The gratitude she felt was overwhelming. She apologized deeply for putting him in that position. Mark waved it off, insisting that anyone would have done the same. though both of them knew that wasn't true. Before he left, she pressed a business card into his hand, not as a transaction, but as a connection she didn't want to lose. The weeks that followed were heavy with winter and routine. Mark returned to his life, to early mornings and late nights, to stretching dollars and answering his son's questions about why Santa brought fewer gifts this year. He almost forgot about Claire, assuming she would forget about him too. Then, one afternoon, his supervisor called him into the office, expression unreadable. Mark's heart sank, expecting bad news. Instead, he was told about a new corporate partnership that would fund training programs and promote workers from within. His name was on the list for a supervisory role. The pay raise would change everything. At the orientation, Mark saw Claire across the room. She looked different, calmer, grounded. Their eyes met, and in that silent exchange was an understanding deeper than words. She hadn't done this out of pity, but out of respect. She had seen his integrity on the worst night of her life and decided to build something better because of it. Over time, their paths crossed more often, conversations growing longer, trust growing slowly. Claire spent time with Noah, learning to see the world through a child's wonder again. Mark learned that strength didn't always look like endurance. Sometimes it looked like asking for help. That next Christmas, snow fell gently instead of violently. Mark's apartment was warmer, fuller. There were presents under the tree, not extravagant, but meaningful. Claire joined them for dinner, laughter filling the rooms where silence once lived. She had learned to step down from the constant grind, to value connection over control. Mark had learned that kindness given freely could return in ways that healed old wounds. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it's reminding you that small acts can ripple into big change, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread these stories of hope. And before the ending, we have a special request for you. Comment the word believe if you think one moment of kindness can change a life. On that Christmas night long ago, a drunk CEO asked a single dad to walk her home, and in doing so, she unknowingly walked him toward a future he never thought possible. Their lives didn't change because of money or power, but because two strangers chose humanity over indifference. And sometimes, that is the greatest gift of all.